Welcome everybody. This is General Microsoft 365 Development Special Interest Group, and this is the bi-weekly sync. It is June 25th. 2020, and we have really interesting agenda again waiting today. So overall, we'll recap. Well, I have some news just to recap on the announcements which we've been doing this week. Then we have latest on PnP CSOM Core, PnP PowerShell, Modernization tooling, Yo Teams, and there's some really awesome news in all of these actually related on recent announcement and all of that. So we'll come to that in a second. Then we'll have first the list formatting magician, Chris Kent. Actually doing some level of a magic again, hopefully with horses. And if you don't know what that reference means, you'll see it most likely during the presentation. And then we have Rodrigo Pinto from Strong Technology actually demonstrating SharePoint Spaces on practice. And this is actually a really great video to get captured as well as a demo to get how to get started and what is it and what are the options right now. So SharePoint Spaces is in preview and it actually is available for people to just start creating content and testing things out. So you can actually do, unless I'm completely mistaken, well, it might be in a targeted release tenants, maybe not. We can double check that. And maybe if there's time for Q&A in the end. Just a quick recap on the opportunities to participate with the community. If you're interested in doing a demo, please reach out to any of the PnP team members, MVPs or Microsoft people, and we'll schedule you a spot on some of these calls. So some of the calls are already fully booked until mid-August. So if you're kind of in between of, hey, should I actually ping them, but I don't want to be on the next call, please consider that it might not be the next call where we have free time. So please, early on, let's do the booking early on rather than too late. And you can absolutely contribute in GitHub as an issues or pull request, super welcome, or then provide feedback in general. Again, just recapping on that one, two things. We want to help you, so we need to understand what's wrong if you don't like something what Microsoft does, or something is missing within our tooling, or you need some guidance. So you need to tell us what's missing so we can actually address that. And the other thing is positive feedback is always good as well. So quite often we always talk about gaps, we talk about missing things, but let's try to build the community around the positive, well, use the positive feedback in the community as well, because I think that encourages people to help even more in the future. So being kind, being positive, absolutely good qualities in the community. Now, super quick recap on the URLs which are available and assets. We have two different YouTube channels. We have Microsoft 365 Developer videos in the M365 Dev YouTube. We have the Microsoft 365 and SharePoint Community PnP videos. And this is not just about the dev stuff, also about non-dev stuff. We have a lot of open source sort. We have sample galleries. I think our team sample gallery is going to be released pretty soon. We're already evaluating that experience. And then if you're looking into all of those URLs, well, how would I remember them? Not a problem. AKMS M365 PnP is the one URL to remember where you can get and find information around the program, initiatives, all of the things and links are available from that one location. Also, if you're looking into contributing, but you don't feel comfortable enough at this point yet to contribute maybe on the documentation or in the GitHub in general, we do have two different community doc sessions coming pretty soon. So tomorrow, the first one on June 26th, and then 29th is on Monday. But basic idea is that you will have an instructors, in this case, David Warner and Hugo Bernier, who will help you to get started. So how can you do edits? How can you submit edits and files and all of that stuff in GitHub? And this is really the getting started level. And these are getting really great feedback from the attendees. So please join in one of the sessions and you'll learn something new. There's new code related sessions also coming later in the summer or in autumn timeframe if you are in the northern hemisphere, because anyway, it's a winter in the southern hemisphere, which is so weird, but that's a separate discussion. Now, some new announcements from this week. We did release a new set of Yo Teams training videos. So this is 8 videos, which are basically on the getting started level. And they were intended to be less than 5 minutes each. But I will call out Hugo as the Canadian who speaks a lot. I think his video is 13 minutes or something like that. But it is a brilliant video around how to create a bot with Yo Teams. And I think Hugo won the length competition for the how long the video actually takes in this case. case. Now, 8 videos from how to install your teams, how to get started on scaffolding solutions, and then in the specific things, how do you do bot development as an example, really great example from Hugo. How do you do the Azure AD configuration, and then how do you debug that stuff? Laura Kokkarinen had a really nice video related on personal apps creating with your teams and how to debug and do that stuff as well. Paolo did a creating a tab with teams and so on and so on. So really, really great training for you to take advantage. Now, one of the most anticipated announcement probably this week was the fact that we released the .NET Standard 2.0 version of the SharePoint Online CSOM API. So as part of the same existing CSOM NuGet, it now also contains .NET Standard version 2 of the assemblies. So you can actually start building .NET Core implementations and use SharePoint CSOM behind of the scenes. So really, really great announcement, which happened earlier this week, and it's been definitely based on social media reactions. People have been really, really waiting for this one, and we know it was delayed for a too long time, but now it's finally here, and so let's move forward with that. The one other thing which was announced earlier today, actually, there is an update related on Microsoft 365 community docs. So we did a recap in the SharePoint blog on what has happened within the last months and what are we planning to do related on the Microsoft 365 community docs. Just to recap, the Sharing is Caring initiative will have 2 sessions targeted on this initiative tomorrow and then on Monday to get people started on things. And then a final kind of a big last minute announcement. 30 minutes ago, we announced SharePoint Starter Kit v2. So the updated version of our SharePoint Starter Kit, which is widely being used by customers and developers to understand what's possible and how to build stuff for SharePoint Online, and nowadays also for Microsoft Teams, is now in a v2 level. And this was a really great initiative where we had multiple MVPs and community members actively contributing and updating the solution. As an example, all of those custom web parts are now individual packages. So if you're looking into just using one of them, you can download the SPPKG file, just install that to your tenant and start using it. So you don't have to install the whole setup. And again, awesome stuff of existing code explaining how to do development for SharePoint Online, but also a lot of the web parts work for SharePoint 2019 as well. So there's now a divider on the web parts, and some of the web parts works in the SharePoint 2019 if you are still in the on-premises side. And then a final kind of a recap announcement. If you go to the KMS M365 PnP videos, this one was released like a week ago or less than 2 weeks ago. Anyway, there is now a documented guidance on how to surface your SharePoint Online portals directly in Microsoft Teams as personal application. Documented guidance means that it's also supported as a preview capability. This one, properly documented guidance, step-by-step video has been missing in the past. We know that people were doing this, but we wanted to address that and provide the additional guidance for you. So really great setup. And there is a video in the YouTube channel where we actually demonstrate what needs to be done, and it doesn't require any code, which is pretty cool. Now let's go to the PnP CSOM core library. I think Bert, you are on the call to give us a quick update on what's happening here. Usage is growing at least.
Yes, usage is growing, Vesa. Actually, let's start with that. Last month, already May, we are almost in July, but now we're talking about May still. We had almost 40,000 tenants. That's like a massive amount of tenants using PnP Sites core library. So that's great, and it keeps on growing. So we'll most likely hit the 40,000 tenants this month. Now, looking at what will be included in the July release, which will be released early July. Some of the fixes that I want to highlight is one around web login. So if you use the web login approach to authenticate, authentication manager web login method essentially, it only worked for your regular SharePoint domain, so contoasted.sharepoint.com. That was great. But if you then needed something from contoasted-admin.sharepoint.com, it failed. And that has been fixed now, which is a pretty handy fix to have. And then another really big PR that actually emerged today is this one that brings a lot of SharePoint 2019 enhancements and test improvements. So a lot of changes there. And furthermore, a lot of smaller fixes done as well. Looking at future, July and later, we have, as you just mentioned, the CSOM standard is out, which also means that we can finally start to work on, or actually we're already working on, but finally finish up version 4 of PnP Site Core and PnP PowerShell, which then uses the .NET standard CSOM underneath. So at that point, you will have those components and PowerShell available across the platform.
But Bert, we released that on Tuesday. Now it's Thursday. Are you saying that it's not yet ready?
It's. I said it was almost polishing it up, right?
Yes, cool.
You misinterpreted me. No, it's a big thing to polish, though, so it might take some time polishing. And then lastly, but definitely not least, this is the PnP Core SDK. Last 2 weeks ago, we tried to do a demo. We had the team problems, so we didn't do a real demo. We should probably schedule that again, Vesa. But I want to kind of do a shout out to Yannick and Paul for their first PRs here, helping us out building this new SDK. So thanks for that. Making good progress there, and hope to be able to show you something in real life within a couple of weeks or a month or so.
Cool.
Right.
Also, summertime is coming. I think you're taking some time off, and some other people are taking some time off at some point. So let's see. That's one of the reasons.
Right?
It is that's true as well. Now, let's go to the PnP PowerShell side. I didn't actually double check. Do we have Erwin on the house or not?
Yep.
Yes, we do. Awesome.
And I was able to unmute this time.
Yes, it works. Yeah. See, technology, amazing.
Just like Bert, crazy numbers in May, totally crazy. Well, over 1 billion commandlets were executed. I don't want to know how many HTTP requests were done behind the scenes, but many more. The previous month was quite a big release, a lot of refactoring. There was especially the one specific commandlet. Well, you will not use it, or you will not see it if you're using PnP PowerShell, but if you're a developer helping to make it better, then you will see that the Connect PnP Online commandlet has pretty heavily changed under the hood, which is good because it was one of the biggest commandlets code-wise that we have, and it was very complex to dive into. So it's easier, cleaner, much better. And all that work was done by Koen Zomers. We're working on, just like Bert, we're working on the V4 version of PowerShell, and no, it's not done. Not yet. I know we're polishing. Well, actually, it compiles. Yeah. It compiles, and I have already been extracting provisioning templates with it. So we're at that level we are, and it's actually just effectively it's detail work that we're working on. So the big things work, and I run it on Linux and I run it on PowerShell Core, just no problem at all. So that's really cool. And well, of course, I write here Linux and Mac, but the actual added value here is that we can use it in Azure PowerShell functions, V3 and V2 and V3 PowerShell functions, which is really nice to be able to very easily write Azure functions. So that's coming somewhere in the future.
It already compiles in my PowerPoint slide, so it's all good. So.
Yep, there we go, solved. Yep. So, and the upcoming release will contain a lot of fixes again for documentation. Again, Koen is doing crazy work there, but we're building up quite an interesting team of people working with me in a somewhat closer relationship with fixing documentation, writing documentation, doing samples. We're planning to expand PnP PowerShell into the other realms of Microsoft 365. And not just SharePoint. So a lot of exciting things happening there in the next part of the year.
And with the larger team, you mean MVPs and community members, obviously.
Exactly, not only MVPs. No, exactly. It's just people that sort of told me that they were really interested in helping out a bit more. And so we're setting up a little community, and it will be an open community, so everyone can jump in there and discuss things with us and make it even better.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Cool. Excellent. Then let's go to the modernization tooling. And we're coming back to Birch. So
we can do that probably quite quick if the slide moves on. Okay, there it is. Because there's not so many changes happening here in this space due to mainly being feature complete. No big work items or the work items like the building support for non-Microsoft sources are like so big that they're not yet started. Overall, I think in general around modernization, I would just kind of use the time to kind of ask folks to think about it, to start your modernization projects, to think about moving away from classic UIs, move to modern pages, and use the tools that there is. And if there is problems, questions, use the issue list in the repo to actually ask questions and get yourself unblocked.
Good, and then let's actually do a quick recap on your teams. Robbie's question, you can technically do, well, SharePoint PnP Core Online requires the core version before you can do Azure V2 and V3. ETA, few weeks, few months, so no exact ETA right now, but work being done on that. Now, your teams, just to recap in here, well, the Victor couldn't join today, but there's a new version available, 2.15 already for this one. Now, just broke 20,000 downloads today, so it's been actually used widely. We did release the training package, 5 to 6 videos tutorials, except the Hugo's one. Hugo, sorry for calling you out again on that. But there's 8 videos which are helping you to get started as a tutorials on that one. So really, really great stuff, and really easily usable, easily get you kick-started on creating a Microsoft Teams solutions. On the horizon, release version 1.16 is a maintenance release. There is a version 3 in plans. Good discussion on GitHub related on what should be there, what should not be there, and how things should be actually working. And the new build pipeline recompilations down from 15 to 30 seconds to 0.5 seconds, which is a good thing. If you're looking into a project where you can help, obviously this is an open source project as well, and your help is more than welcome. So check out the good first issue tags in the issue list and test the generator, documentation, give feedback. Really, really cool stuff as well. So thank you for that advance. Now let's actually move in to the demo section. And I did promote Chris Kent as a presenter, and this time I didn't throw you out from the meeting, which is already a successful thing.
No,
there we go. Yeah, all right, we got it. So take it away. Thank you, Chris.
All right. I'm Chris. Let's go. All right, we're going to talk about some list formatting stuff. Now, today we're going to look at our classic warrior horses site. Right, and our horses, they're nothing if not organized, right? So they love to schedule their events in advance and like to let everyone know what's going on. All right, so they're using a modern communication site here. So they've got a page here called Horse Events, right, where they've added a few events, just using kind of the standard interface here for modern pages using the events web part. All right, and that's pretty cool. They can see the events, and it's all right, right? And when you click on it, you get this nice little page here. And it'll tell you some details, who's one of the attendees, the participants here. You get a map. It's all nice, right? And that's cool. But now the horses, they've decided they want to change just something small, right? They want to change like the category here, and they want to make it red or something like that. Now this is a custom web part, so you can't really do anything there. So you can open up SPFX and try and reverse engineer this and do all sorts of crazy stuff. That's a lot of overkill just to get something red, or add a custom field. Say you've got a field like, say, public or private. Maybe you just want a little icon that says that up here in the corner. All right, something along those lines. Well, so what do? All right, we're like, well, this is the list formatting demo, so I guess we're going to do some list formatting. That makes sense. So we come over here and we want to go back to our actual events page, right? So if we go over to site contents, all right, we go down to our events list, and we're like, oh, perfect. We have an events list somewhere on here. There's our events list. Now I'll just apply a nice form. Oh, no. This isn't modern at all. I've got a ribbon. What's going on? And, oh, that's probably because it's a calendar. Who cares about that, right? Let's switch our view. And we'll go over here to, like, all events. No! Look, it's still so old. I've got no formatting options. What can I do, right? So this is where we're going to take a look. And we're going to go over here to list in our ribbon here, because it's classic, and I'm going to hit list settings. One of the things you can do is if you go down to advanced settings, scroll all the way to the bottom here, you'll see this display, in the list experience. You'll see it says default experience for the site. This is a dirty, dirty lie. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to force it to be the new experience. I'm going to hit OK here. And we'll go back to our events list. All right, you'll see it still looks like this, but if we go to our all items, or all events, let's see. Now it looks modern, right? Now it looks pretty weird and a little wonky here with some stuff here, but now we can work with this. All right, so now we can work with our events list. So I'm going to format, I want to change this whole view, because the first thing I want to do is kind of match this. I want to match this look and feel before I start customizing. So I'm going to format the current view. And for this, apparently I had a format. Ignore that. All right, so I'm going to save. Now let's go ahead and grab a format. Now this is coming from a sample from our GitHub repo. Let me pull this up here. There we go. And this time I'm just going to grab this format. I'm going to paste it here and we'll look at what's actually happening. Because this is a fairly complicated format. We'll take a look. So if I preview that, you'll see nothing changed, and that's because I've only applied it as tile props for now. So I can switch to the tiles view. And there we go. Now we've got something that looks very much like these events, right? So that's great. So that's what this format does. And again, this is a sample that's available to you. There's a couple of caveats with it, and we'll take a look. But the nice thing is we've got everything kind of integrated. So if we click on, say, you know, horse, let's save this first. Right? If we click on horse party, it'll actually take us to that nice event page, right? So it's still fully integrated here. If we go back here, we can actually hit like add to my calendar, right, for hoof exchange. Apparently we want to have that, right? And we actually get an ICS file download. And if we open that up, we can see we actually have, you know, give a hoof, get a hoof, right? We got our hoof exchange, and we've got it all in our setup and our time zone. This is an all-day event, I believe. So there we go. So all that kind of works, and that's great. So let's take a look. How is this working, and what can we do about it? So if we format that current view, just to get back in this look, right, we can see tile prompts. There's several samples about tile prompts, and we've also done at least 2 videos on tile prompts in the past. So check out the YouTube channel for a little more details on that. I'm going to skip over some of that and just look at what the format is. So the first thing to note is that if we want to link to that events page, we have to build our link. One irritating thing is we have no access to the list ID, so we're actually going to have to grab that and paste that in. If you're looking for that, you can grab that pretty easily off the list settings, right? So if we go to our events and we go to our settings, you look up here. It's actually right there. You guys can see that. Woo! That's where you can get your list good, right? So that's a pretty easy way to do that. Then if you paste that in here, and in the sample it'll just say list good, just replace it with that. That'll get you the nice event page as a link. And then down here, we look way down here, we've got our add event icon button. We've got just a link here. So this is using an old school ICS generator, right? So this old OWS SVR.dll. I'm sure Vesa's excited that I'm showing a DLL link. Who doesn't like that? All right, and the same thing, if we place that GUID link, that's going to generate an ICS file from an event. So fun fact, you can use this outside of format, and you can build all sorts of fun things with this link. Okay, so that's how you do that. So that's exciting. Now we can actually change things, right? So if we wanted to come up to, say, where our category is, that's somewhere. Right, so if we come down here, there's category. Right, maybe we wanted to change that color, right? We talked about red, right? So we're going to say MS, we're actually change instead of neutral secondary, we'll just make that red. Let's preview that. Wow! So now we see we can start to format things, right? So if I've got extra fields or whatever else I want to do, I can add that in, or I can get a little fancier. All right, so if I come over here and let's say I'm going to grab this other format, I'm going to grab this, paste it in, and I'll show you what it does. Oh, that's not very formatted. Either way, let me format that document. Doesn't matter. Let's preview that. And so now we'll give it a sec. There we go. Now we've got a nice hover card, right? So that's, now we've even improved. Oh, no hover cards here. But now we've got hover cards. And what we've actually done, if you take a look at this format, we've actually taken, doggone it, these hover cards are a little weird when you're in the preview mode. There we go. We've actually taken the face pile sample and we've inserted it inside a custom hover card. So we can see who's associated with these events. And we even have the standard hover card events, right? So now we can find out more about Dan Gump here, right? We can check them all out and see what he's doing. So now we've improved things, and that's awesome. And again, we've got a whole sample on that, and this is tough to read, but custom card props, we've got another set of videos on that. But the idea is you can now apply a format inside a custom card. In this case, we wanted to show on hover. Right, and then all of this is just this. I just took the face pile sample, pasted it in here, and made it slightly larger. That's it. So you can do the exact same thing. And now let's see. So the other thing we want to take a look at is our list view still looks like junk, right? Oh, sad. Well, we can solve that all with the exact same format, right? So if we take this format, which now has the hover right, it's got the, let's make sure I format this document before I grab it. There we go. We grab that. So it's got the hover card, it's got the tile props. We paste this and preview that. Now we've got a nice view here. All right, we can switch it over to our tiles. And we got a nice view there, and we got our hovers, and we can do whatever we want, right? So we can, you start to see we get a lot of power here. We can truly customize these events lists, which you may have thought were kind of untouchable because they're not by default modern, right? So now you get in there, you can format all sorts of stuff, and it's really super duper exciting. Okay, so let's do a real quick recap on that. We come over here, a couple things to note with the events list, right? So again, we talked about it's not modern by default. So just follow those steps I told you here. Just set it to the new experience. If it still looks classic right after you do that, just refresh the page. And it should show up, obviously not on the calendar view, but on all your other views. Your calendar view will still work, by the way. It'll just be classic. So I will say some properties are a little wonky. They're not really wonky. There are reasons for it. So for instance, there is an actual location field backing your location, which is nice in the new experience. You actually get prompted to put a true location in, right? It shows a nice map. And you'd think you could use that information, but because it is a geolocation field, not a location field type, it's not supported in column formatting to pull like the coordinates and other things out on that. A couple other things, the workspace, which is where you save like a link. If you had a meeting link, say Teams or Zoom link, and you wanted to put that in there, you can pull that link out by referencing the workspace column. But because it's not sitting as field type back, you actually can't get the description, at least at this time. So that's a bit of a bug. We'll get that addressed, hopefully. And by we, I mean Microsoft, not me. All right. Again, if you want a true calendar where you really want to customize stuff, you're going to have to jump over to SPFX, which I believe we've got a few samples over in our repo for those. And one other thing is all-day events. Right? You'll notice that we did some stuff for all-day events. Right? We're matching the style for all-day events. We're showing the dates and so on. But there is a kind of a known issue that goes way, way back, is that your event date and your end date, those are the internal fields for the start and end, will come back in the local time zone unless that event has been marked as an all-day event, in which case it'll come back as UTC. It's awesome. It's great. It's been around for a long time. It's something you've had to work around before. You'll have to work around it here in formatting as well. So don't let that throw you off too much. If you're at Eastern time zone in the United States like I am, right, it's going to usually be 4 hours behind. So the midnight's going to come back, and it's going to be on the day before. Okay? All right. Here's just a quick reference to those links. Take a look here. Again, we're just using @current_web. This is a magic token that just takes wherever our site is and just pastes it in there. And then we can reference things like the layouts folder for our events page. Same with the ICS download. We're doing the exact same thing with @current_web. And then we've got all this stuff. You can ignore everything. We got our list view and we throw it in there. And so, and then we drag it around apparently in PowerPoint. That's why I should present. All right, final thing. So check out our documentation here. There's all sorts of stuff, both on column formatting and view formatting. And again, the sample, which will be put up there right after this call, is the events format. So check that out. It's got several kind of advanced things. We're using the for each to do the face pile. We're doing a custom card. On hover, we're also doing the tile props and a standard view. Again, you can kind of go crazy with all these formats, but it also has guidance on doing everything I showed you here today, setting the events list to a modern experience and so on. All right, that's all I got. Thanks. Woo.
Excellent, Chris. Thank you for that one. There was a good question on the chat, which I can't at least answer, which was that the recurrent meetings apparently would not be visible in the modern UX. I don't know. That might be the case, but we probably need to double check. But that's a good notice from the chat. So, and obviously I will see if I can actually report that forward using the Microsoft channel. So anyway, but really cool task. Really
anyone who's worked with the dates, with the recurrence and everything else already knows that's a bit of a nightmare anyway. Yeah. So fun.
Excellent. Really, really great stuff. I wasn't aware of this, so this is awesome. You're educating at least me, and clearly many of other people in the chat as well. And now, anyway, let's actually move into the Rodrigo's side.
My name is Rodrigo Pinto. I'm a Portuguese guy. I'm working for a company called Storm. That's an Irish company. And basically, I'm showing a little bit on the SharePoint Spaces since I've been around this thing since the beginning. So what is SharePoint Spaces? So basically, it's the web basic authoring tool for us to give more, to have more immersive experience in stories within the platform itself. Okay, so why SharePoint? So it makes total sense to have this kind of technology on top of SharePoint itself and of Office 365 regarding the familiarity on authoring the environments and in all the tools that we have. Most of the content that companies already have are inside of SharePoint 3D and 360 content, and we, by having those type of content inside of SharePoint, we have the security and compliance applied to that thing. Okay, so why the web? Basically works for any browser, any modern browser. It can consume 3D and 2D content. And basically, the idea here, even if you don't have the headed mounted display, you can actually have the immersive experience within the canvas of the SharePoint itself. Okay. So what are some of the scenarios that we can apply to this? Usually, you use the space itself for creating scenarios for onboarding or tours on your company, catalogs or training, and new product launches. There's another, I mean, with this approach with a couple of clients, a couple of other approaches that we can reuse, and I'm going to show a little bit more on at the end what we can do right now. But there's a bunch of things. One of the things that we can actually do is mix 3D with the current sites, with objects, and being a little more immersive on the experience that you have, not just only 3D but on 2D also. So what's the experience like? I'm a little bit fast because I have a bunch of things to show you guys. So the idea here is if we have the controller for the 3D, we don't need any muscle memory for using the controller itself. So it's just one click. You just select it, and there's a little bit of on a video on this type of thing. So what you see right now, it's a canvas in 3D with SharePoint Spaces, where you select an object and you can rotate and you can expand, you inspect the stuff, you can see videos, and you can expect the video like this one. Yeah, it's a little bit long. I think I'm going to pass this thing or not. We can actually leverage the current assets as the files that we have on Office 365, and we can preview it and mark them for read later, save later. So let me get back to the demo itself. So first of all, so this is our demo tenant. So first of all, what do we need to do for having the SharePoint space active? So we need to go to the site settings itself and activate a site level feature. Okay, site features, and then you have on this one, it's already activated. You just need to activate this thing, and then afterwards, whenever you do, you go to your home page, you do the new, and then you have a little option here called Space Preview. You click on it. So what is this? So basically, each one of the 3D experience that we have a structure, and basically the structure is it's like the stage for us to put all the 3D assets that we need in and how to navigate. Usually I use this one because it's a cleaner one. You can use all the things that you need here. First space, create it, okay. And then we will have canvas of the 3D immersive within the page itself. We have a couple of options here. This one is for full size on the page, and then we have the space design here. The option, just click on it, and we have a couple of options. The name itself, the structure, as we did at the beginning, and afterwards we actually can change this background to the ones that Microsoft make available to us without us adding anything else, okay? And we can actually change for another type of background illustration. We can have a bunch of illustrations and change the color. It's more like a digital experience, okay? Another cool thing is you have a welcome message. You can put like a audio, just put one like this, the intro, and then we can actually have ambient sound with it. I don't know if you guys can listen, probably not, right? Because I didn't share the audio. So basically you hear like a background ambient sound like wind, rain, and you can do all these kind of things. So this is the landing part. If I do the publish.
Party people, how you feeling?
Yeah, so basically that's the first part that you need. So you will have your environment. Let me just change this for a different background just for us to see better the 3D stuff. Image, like this. That's okay. Okay, so after that, we can actually add web parts. In the web parts, the system is the same. That's why it's so easy to do these kind of things. The system is the same as we do content within SharePoint. So we have a couple of, we have 9 web parts, at least for now, for dealing with 360 content and for dealing with some of the content that we are actually using within SharePoint. So I'm going to start with this one, 360 image. As you can see, you can put the web part wherever we need. So then afterwards, as you may look, I'm a huge fan of Marvel. Let me just grab a 360 image here. Yes, it's images 360 and this one. Okay, after that, we see a ball with a podium here, and you have a couple of settings for us to deal with. Okay, and most of the things we can change the image, as you can see. We can change the rotation of that 360 image. We can change the height of the podium for doing something like this, and we actually can add actions for each one of the items that we see here. So basically, this part is common on most of the web parts, and basically we can add or remove actions. We can link to another space, to play audio, and link to another page or item. So I'm going to do to publish this thing. When I click on this thing, so it's quite immersive, and I see this in the future for having pinpoints on each one of the images if the software will support this kind of things. It's quite interesting for companies to have this kind of approach to showing products and showing even reports. Okay, I hit the escape thing, so I'm going to edit the page again, and I'm going to add a little 360 video. And actually, the 360 video, if you're not doing video, it's kind of weird to find some videos. Just to this one, just for you guys to know the experience. So basically,
hello,
you can do this kind of
Marhaba.
Right? So this is the kind of experience that we have whenever you add a 360 image. I'm not going through the entire stack, or else we'll be here till the rest of the day. So another thing interesting is a 3D object, and basically this is at least on my clients is the most used item for them to have this kind of visualization on this type of items. I just created 3D with Parker, so let's hope it's a little bit heavy. Yep. So basically, we can grab the object and we can drag and drop wherever, move it and change the size and the direction, the scalability, all these kind of things. Okay. What's the experience when you're seeing this kind of things? So basically the 3D object pops out for you to manage like this. Okay. So probably there's a couple of other ones. The document library will look into a document and you will see a carousel in 3D for doing the things, for choosing the parts. I'm going to show all of them in use on one of the presentations that we did for one of our clients. And let me go here to the home page again. Spaces company. So basically, this company is around renewable energies. And one of the things that we did, let me try to do this thing, that we did was actually we leveraged a couple of 360 images for the background. These are some of the files. They're public files, but they are things that you can actually read. Or the behavior on this one is open a new tab, and actually you can leverage this same file within SharePoint, and you can actually you will be redirected to the file itself, hopefully, or not. Yeah, it will work. This thing that you see here, it's actually the document library carousel with the web part. You pointed to a document library, and all the 3D objects and the 360 images are shown here. I don't know why the regular images are not. At the beginning they were. Right now it's not working. I don't know why. So this is a 3D object. This is another one. If you don't have those kind of assets, you have a catalog to attach to it, and actually there's another one that the guys from Disney gave me. Let's try to see if this works here. So basically, you have this kind of version. See, you can rotate along the side of the dragon and all of this. Okay, so back to regular videos. We can do visualizations like this. This is a video. So this is the video web part, the regular one. And we actually can leverage this kind of things rolling at the same time and doing this kind of type of approach on that part. Okay. And let me look in another example that I have here. It's this more personal one. As you may notice, I'm a Marvel freak. So, so what I did was actually I created a little space with the infamous heroes. So you can have this kind of thing like a show or like a, another web part that's actually interesting is the one regarding the organization chart. Okay, so this tenant is SharePoint related, so it's a mix between Star Wars and Marvel, so it's a demo test, so no problem. And basically you can do this kind of things. This is what you see here is actually images from the comics, and this 3D models are free for using. This is a regular image and collectibles. And you have a video here also. You can play the video, because you should play. It's not playing, I don't know why. Okay, kind of weird. So this is the experience. Now, one of the things that we actually do, and it's quite good, the experience of editing this kind of things. But the problem that we have right now of doing this kind of content, usually you grab the model and you need to replicate the model within other pages or whatever. So you have 2 or 3 choices on that thing. You just copy the page as it is and create a new one, and then just delete what you don't want and then edit what you need, or you use the PnP to do the provisioning on those pages, or you do something more or less like what I'm going to show you now. And basically, regarding the development and the extensibility of this kind of assets, right now it's not available. So hopefully it will be available, a framework within the PnP umbrella. So all things that you see here, it's based on Babylon JS. So it's a JavaScript engine that basically manages the WebGL. That's the thing, the 3D part that you see here, and manages quite good and quite easily to do. It's like if you need to think in the future and try to extend the platform with something that Microsoft will provide, it will be based on the same concepts that you have on Babylon JS. Okay. One thing that we did for a couple of clients was, let me just check. So basically, I'm just opening this because this is not even in production yet. What we actually did was we're going to put this is a web part that we created just for the mockups itself. It's not right now completed, but the idea is this web part will be part of the PnP repository also. Okay, so basically what is this? So each one of the rectangles that you see here is a scene from the SharePoint space. And basically one of the things that we can do, we cannot do anything inside of this because it's too tight, it's too close with the compiling and with the SPFX solutions and all these kind of things. So what we can actually leverage is the current platform, the current structure that SharePoint shows us uses to provision those web parts, because they are 3D, but they are web parts. And if you look at the pages itself, the content canvas, that's a field that exists on the site pages. You can actually see the structure of each one of the web parts. So what we did here, we grabbed one of these scenes. Basically, it's a page, and we grab all the web parts itself. You see here. One thing that bugs me, actually, it's not having a way to do the name on this thing, although there's a couple of tricks that you can reuse. And basically, you can choose. Imagine that you already have a huge catalog of things to be done, of scenes already done, and you can grab this, and you can see on each one of them the details of the. This is the text fields that are using. We put a little bit on the tweaking on the JSON part. So this is actually the JSON that's part of that defines one web part, and then it's just a matter of grabbing and changing this fields and to apply to a new one. Lisbon fits. So we grab it, we select the web parts here, save all, and hopefully it will save somewhere here or not. Okay, apparently you have to wait until the proper message. Please see a bit. Okay, this is just a mock-up, no problem. We actually need to refresh the thing. So this page is completely empty. So whenever we do this thing, we can actually see. Now, one of the things that's kind of weird, and we need to drill down a little bit more on this part, is regarding the content of the text itself on these things, because this apparently has something in cache that's using the sample docs, is using this phrasing, and if I go here and do the edit, I actually see that the phrase is Lisbon right now. Okay. Another interesting thing, you can combine scenes. You can grab, where's the scene with Marvel stuff again? Marvel, please. Come on. Okay, so it's loading. Yeah, we don't actually need the scene preview just for you to see the images. You can grab this thing, and right now it's just applying to that page, but the idea here is to have this whenever you're editing a page, a space, okay? And this is actually helping most of our clients to replicate scenarios. I'll try to do another thing just for you guys to see what's the effect. I just clicked twice, I think, or 3 times. Okay. Now if I do a refresh on this thing, so I can actually create and identify the web parts like a group and apply to the page itself. Now, one of the things that we're investigating also is moving this kind of things on that web part. Hopefully, the new framework for dealing with this will be ready soon. I'm hoping, because this is kind of a nightmare. You can have this kind of thing. So I click twice. See, it's duplicated. So it's the easy way. Not this one. This one I didn't duplicate it. This one I did. Okay. And basically that's the things that we're currently doing on this. It's not that deep on adding web parts and adding new web parts and all these kind of things, but it's more on the tooling, on how to replicate, replicate, duplicate, or rearrange the content across the entire company. Okay, so and basically that's it on my side.
Excellent. Thank you, Rodrigo. Right on time as well. So
yeah, I know. That's why I was speaking. Yeah.
So I think that one of the challenges related on the let's say refreshes and everything else is quite simply that it's pretty performance intensive operation when you're playing with Babylon.js at the same time when you're feeding a video externally to Microsoft Teams. So
yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably, I was guessing that that's now the bottleneck. So, but it is really, really, really cool. And Babylon.js, like mentioned on the chat as well by Harsha and you, Rodrigo, is the behind of the scenes. Everything is built on that. There's an ongoing discussion related on when we will open up the spaces for third-party extensibility and additional components and all of that stuff. And that's ongoing internally. No ETA on that one at this point. Okay. But let me actually get to screen sharing on my side. We are hitting the hour anyway. So thank you, Rodrigo, on that one. So that was Chris, that was Rodrigo, really, really great stuff. We unfortunately are running out of time for the Q&A, so we're not going to have a Q&A today as well, but there was a lot of discussions in the chat. Now, by the way, Ralph Rivas is saying we should have a PnP summit. We are planning to do that. More information on that one later. So obviously, right now we're scheduling something. It's scheduled to actually happen on 1st of September, but that's a quick teaser and not going to provide more input on that one at this point. So will be more insights on the PnP Summit, which is basically a virtual conference in the 1st of September later. Now, a recording will be available in the Microsoft 365 SharePoint community YouTube channel, again as M365 PnP videos within 24 hours, and follow us on Twitter. Next call in 9th of July. We will actually have demos related on Teams app templates there, and we'll start having recurrent presentation of Teams app templates in this bi-weekly calls as well. So that's currently the plan, which is pretty cool. Now, we have a lot of community calls, so have a look on AKMS M365 Dev calls or M365 PnP, and from there you can actually get access on all of the calls. You don't have to join all of them. Everything is getting recorded. You can follow up on those later on as well. But awesome stuff. Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, Chris. I think it's time to close for today. So thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you. Great discussion in the chat, and we'll be back with community call within a week. So bye-bye. We'll be in touch.